Welcome. In this video, I'm going to show you how to speed read through the books you read. So we went through in the previous videos the second part of reading, or second dimension you might say, called inspectional reading, or as most of us know today, speed reading. And I'm going to show you what that is today. So before we go to speed reading, I think it's important for us to know the different ways that human beings can learn something. And there are four main ways. So the first way is by reading. The second way is by listening. Small typo there. Listening. The third way is watching. And the final way is by doing. So these are the four main ways human beings can learn. And it's quite interesting, but they have done research on how much a person learns or retains information based on which of these the person is doing. And they found out the following. They found out that reading is faster than listening. So what does this mean? Reading is faster than listening. Well, this means that if you are going to learn anything, whether it be mathematics or politics, if you are reading a book on it, your brain is able to capture the information much faster and understand it than if you were watching a lecture, like I'm giving now, or a lecture at university, or a lecture at high school. And what they also found is that reading and listening, so reading and listening at the same time, is faster than reading. So your brain is able to capture the information and knowledge faster if you are both reading and listening at the same time than if you are just reading the book alone. And the way that you can do this, reading and listening at the same time, is by having a book, looking at the words and reading it, and at the same time you are listening to an audiobook or a person that is reading aloud in a class, for example. And you then have doing and watching, and the same thing applies here. Doing is faster than watching. So if you are learning a football trick or sports, anything to do with it, or even construction work, you learn faster by doing the actual thing than watching others do it. And this can also be applied to theoretical areas like computer science or politics. By doing it yourself, creating projects or assignments, solving problems, using the knowledge, you are able to learn the knowledge much faster than if you are just watching someone do it. And yet the same thing applies here. Doing and watching is faster than doing. So these are the main parts you can learn something. And it's interesting to see, but I haven't looked at it before or thought about it, but it would be interesting to see which of these is fastest to learn, because these are the best ones on each part. But personally, I think that both of them are good and you should use both of them. So like what I'm thinking is that you can first read and listening through books to get the knowledge, and afterwards you can apply the knowledge using these ways to learn. So in this video I'm going to focus on these two, reading and listening, because these are the ones that you use to read books. And if you're going to speed through books, you're going to use both of these. And like I talked about before in the previous video, you have two most valuable assets as a human. I said in the video before it was your mental health and physical health, but these terms are kind of vague and very generalistic. So I think better terms or more specific would be your mind and your body. That's what I was referring to in the videos. So in speed reading the books, the asset that you're using and training is your mind. So what we're going to be doing is using the reading and listening to read the books. To read any book, I'm going to show you how you can use it. So use primarily these techniques to read the book and listen to it. So as we figured out, reading is better than listening. So watching and listening to someone give a lecture or a YouTube video, you learn slower than if you were reading a book on the subject. And even better than reading the book on the subject by yourself, where you just take a book and you read through it, it's better to read through it but listen to it also at the same time. So this can be an audiobook or it can be a reader software that that goes through the book and says it, so you can follow it better. So to read books, you just need the book physically, and me personally, I like doing this sometimes, but it's not as efficient as doing this. But the problem is that reading and listening has a few requirements that you need to have in order to do. So the first requirement is that you have the book in ebook format or PDF file. You can find this easily on the internet, or you can buy it if you're not able to find it. The second is a very useful software that I've been using called Natural Reader. And what's good to do while you're reading through books and picking up new information is that when you find information that is useful or you think it's very valuable that you want to remember afterwards, you can write it down and take a note. But I don't like taking notes in the Microsoft Word or OneNote. I think there's a much better software and it's called Notion. So these are the requirements for reading and listening, which is the essence of speed reading, how you can do it the fastest way. And getting the book physically or as an ebook, it obviously costs you money. So I was looking at this book that I'm reading. I have it on PDF. But if I was to buy it physically, I see here on Amazon that it costs $24, right? So $24, and on Kindle it costs $13. So to have it as a PDF or as a hardcover, it depends on what you prefer. Me personally, I like having the ebook first to try out the book. Is it good? Is it not? And if it's a very good book, like this one here that I have read 6 or 7 times, I buy it physically because I like touching it and having it with me. But I personally like having the PDF first and reading through it to see if it's very valuable. So it's an investment in yourself, buying books. So buying books is an investment in yourself. And you might be asking, how is buying books an investment in yourself? It's obviously just an expense where you use money on. Not quite, and I'll show you why. So let's say now I buy a book, Innovation Secrets of Steve Jobs. It costs $13. $13 is what the book costs, and if I also want the audio version of it, let's say it costs $10. It's probably cheaper because on Audible I think you can get a subscription and you have access to all books in audio, but I'm not sure. So let's say $10. $10 here, and when you sum them up, you get $23 that you use, right? Now, what might happen is that what usually happens is that after you have read through the book, if it's a good book, I should also go through how you can find good quality books, and I will do that in one of my next videos, because I think it's very important that you read good quality books and not bad quality books. So if it's a good quality book, most of the time, I would say 90% of the time, it's going to be worth it, and the knowledge that you learn from the books, you are going to be able to apply it in your job, in your life, and the value that it's going to give you back is much greater than $23. But let's analyze this from a business perspective so we can calculate how the investment was. Let's say it costs $23. And what I used the book for, Innovation Secrets of Steve Jobs, I learned the techniques that Steve Jobs used to make Apple such a good company and provide such good products to the world. And I used those same techniques and knowledge to create my own product that is good according to the principles of Steve Jobs. And I can sell the product for, let's say, $5, something simple. So I sell my product for $5 after creating it and using this knowledge to understand how I should design it, how it should work, and the value that it should provide to the customers. And let's say I sell the book to 10 people. I sell it to 10 people, so I made $50. And this could be in a day. If I'm at a conference and I talk to lots of different people, usually people are excited and want to try out your product. Or it could be a week or a month, depending on your experience. But usually you can do much better than this if you're able to acquire the knowledge required to communicate and create a good product that people value. And if we then calculate this investment, we use the net present value. And to calculate the net present value, you just take this is a minus that you go under, that you use. So let's just do minus here. So minus $23. And if we are using the rate of inflation, or if you had a better investment, you can call it the capital cost. But let's say that instead of using your $20 here, you put your $23 in savings account that had 3% rent, let's say it. So then the the percentage that you use to calculate the net present value is 3%. And if you're starting out with the $23 today, and you want to calculate how much you have in a year, you can just calculate it by 1 plus 3%, which is the same as 0.03. And this is the same as $23 plus $23 times 0.03. So this will give you what 3% of $23 is. In mathematics, we do this to simplify, to abstract, and we can even abstract it a level further by just multiplying by 1.03, which is the same. But when you're starting out, it can be useful to go to the simple, go simple at first, the foundation, so you understand, okay, what's actually happening. And then you understand it, and you can simplify this into multiplication between this and this and this. The common factors in each one, you take out the $23 here, and then you multiply by each of the numbers that you have to multiply to get here. And then you can just sum up this to get this. And if we just calculate this, bring up my calculator, 23 times 1.03. Approximates to $23.69. So almost $1 that you get from your savings account. So this just shows how the investment in putting your money in a savings account is not as efficient as creating a business. So to calculate the net present value, we can then take the $50 here and add it, the $50 here, but you also have to remember that $50 today is worth more than $50 tomorrow, and this is because of inflation. So if you are able to buy a cookie today for $5, but the prices of everything else rises, they increase the cost. So next year the cookie costs $7. Your $5 today are worth $7 in the future. But if you keep the $5 and in the next year you cannot buy a cookie longer because inflation has increased the cost and your money has stayed the same. And the way you calculate it backwards is that you just, instead of multiplying, so multiplying you go forwards in time by dividing with the same capital cost investment, you go backwards in time. So you find out what $50 is. You find out what $50 in 1 year is worth today. And if you calculate $50 divided by 1.03, we get $48.5, let's say. So this becomes $48.5, and you subtract the $23, and we add it again. So then we just add the $23, and we get, no, not add, we subtract. So 48 minus 23. You can also just take negative 23 plus 48.5, but it's the same. And it will give you $25.5. So by buying the book Innovation Secrets of Steve Jobs, I can just show it up here. I recommend this book to entrepreneurs or people that want to start a business. It's a very good book. I'm reading it right now and I've gotten lots of value from it already. But I believe that the value that it's going to give me will be much greater than this $25. So this is just to show you why buying books is an investment in yourself. Because by using $23 today, you sacrifice it. so that in 1 year or in 2 years you get more money from the knowledge that you learned, and the money that you gained in 1 year and 2 years, it covers the cost that you have and gives you extra money on top of it. So this is the essence of investments. So now that we know why buying books is an investment in yourself, and we also learned that reading and listening is the most efficient way to read books and speed read, and these are the tools that you need. I'm now going to show you a demonstration or tutorial of how you use these tools to read a book.